replay, please send the replay to your principal. Hi, YouTube, going live. This is actually my first YouTube live, so I'm very excited. Drop your questions if you have them. We are talking everything you need to be doing for spring to make it a joyful and wonderful conclusion for your year. If you're here on YouTube or on Instagram, let me know where you're coming from. I am in LA, so it's 4 o'clock over here on the West Coast. I know I have some East Coast people tuning in, so it's a little bit later for you guys. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Okay. I know everyone is busy, so I want to get like right to it. I also want to let you know that I will have a freebie for this. So if you are interested in the freebie, just leave me a comment that says freebie on the replay so that I can get you your freebie of the 4 things that you need to be doing right now so that spring is wonderful and amazing at your school. So I want to first start with a misstep that I've already seen a lot of people falling into, unfortunately. And I offered strategy sessions at the beginning of this year because I know the power of planning and I know the power of strategic planning going on into the year. You let me know, did you do strategic planning? It can be like as it relates to your classroom, as it relates to your school, but I'm curious if people did strategic planning. And the reason why I'm asking is because a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is not about you needing to do more. I have good news. The secret is not you doing more. Isn't that good news? I mean, I feel like we can't do yet another one more thing. Teachers are not going to handle one more thing. Like, it cannot be about more things that we need to be doing. Instead, it needs to be about how we are doing it and what we are doing. And so I think that the first thing that I am going to talk about is making sure that you have a strategy and a plan. So many of you, and you let me know if this sounds familiar, you're spending your day playing whack-a-mole, running around chicken without a head. Sometimes people say putting out fires, right? That's the terminology that we use, or we say, you're responding all day. And I know a lot of teachers are spending most of their time responding, and they're not spending most of their time teaching. Okay. They're not spending most of their time planning academically, delivering the content. They're spending their days running around. Administrators are doing the same thing, spending their days running around like a chicken without a head. How can we limit this strategy? I promise you, it is not that you need to do more. You doing more is just going to be more. At this point, there's so much going on. It's like more is just more. We need to do things more strategically and differently. So at the beginning of the year, I recommended that people do some sort of strategic planning to launch the year, to set themselves up for success, that type of thing. If you haven't done it, it's not too late. Okay, has the year already started? Yes. But you can still get in there and set yourself up for your spring. What are your goals? Your very specific goals. What are the things that you need to, that you know, if you just figure out how to solve this problem, your year will be amazing. It will be smoother. Those are the kinds of questions that we did in these strategic planning sessions that I hosted with some leaders. And it was just 90 minutes, but within that 90 minutes we made a plan. We had, everything laid out. And again, you're probably used to doing some sort of planning, right? If you're just tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from, and there will be a freebie. So comment freebie if you want your freebie after this. If you are somebody that, has been doing a lot, like if you feel like you're working, usually what I tell people is it's not about what you need to be doing more. You are doing enough already. It's how you are doing it. School leaders, teachers, we're all consuming a lot. We're all doing a lot of professional development. We're getting a lot of input. We're changing the curriculum. Just kidding. Do this curriculum. Here's a learning platform. Oh, just kidding. The district is switching to this one. We need iReady. We need IXL. We need Khan Academy. We need Dreambox. We need Raz Kids, whatever it is, right? All of these things. And just at a certain point, it's not about adding more. It's not about more strategies and this and that. It's how we're doing it and are we being strategic? So, the first thing that I want you to think about, and the first question that I have for you is, how have you set that up this year already? What has it looked like for you? Do you have your strategic plan? Are your ducks in a row? What is your focus this year? This is especially to school leaders. What is your instructional focus this year? What is your school culture focus between now and May or June, depending on where you are? What do you want to see? If you can't answer those questions concretely and everybody in the school isn't singing to that same chorus, we need to go back and do some strategic work to figure out what this semester really can and needs to look like. So the first thing, your strategic plan, your organization, it will save you because you're probably doing enough. I can't tell you how many schools that I've been to this year, and I'm looking around and I'm tired. After one day, I'm like, we actually are asking these teachers to do too much. We're asking them to do too much and it's not organized, it's not strategic. So that's the reason why it's not landing. So when we see that things aren't landing and the scores aren't going up and everything's not happening, we like, okay, we need to do more. Not necessarily. So that's the first thing that I want you to think about is your strategy, your plan. The second thing that I want to talk to you about, because especially since it's spring and things are kind of going to get crazy with standardized testing season, it feels like low key in some ways the year ends in like April because once you get into that standardized testing window for some of us, that's really the last time that we have for our students. And then that's it. We don't see them because they're standardized testing, end of the year, et cetera, right? But you need to have a little bit of urgency about your goals. So if you don't have a mid-year data point, I'm not saying that it needs to be a standardized test, but you do need to have some sort of mid-year data point that says where your students are at and where they need to get to in the next couple of months. So, my question for you is, do you have a good sense of where your students are at academically? And do you have your end goal in mind of like, this is where they need to go? If you're in sixth grade, how many of your babies are reading and operating at a sixth grade level? Is it all of the class? Is it half of the class? What are the moves that you're going to need to make to get the bottom three to get to at least that fifth grade level so that they're working on a fifth grade level by the time that they leave your class and they're making up for that lost time? So you need to do some sort of data deep dive, check in. I'm not saying that you have to run a standardized test. I'm not saying that you have to go and use one of these learning platforms. I'm actually not the biggest advocate of the learning platforms the way that we use them now. But what I am saying is you need to have some sort of data meeting and figure out where the data is at and where you need it to be at. The next thing that you need to do for this spring to be fabulous, for your kids to thrive, for this spring to work, is we have to talk about your parent engagement plan. Is there one? Do you have a parent engagement plan? What has that been looking like? What will it look like? What is your strategy for family engagement for the remainder of this semester and the year? And again, you already know I have a freebie for you with that. What I hear all the time, a couple of days ago, I asked teachers actually on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, go find this post and let me know your thoughts. I asked them, is PD support? 100,000 teachers told me no, PD is not support. I mean, that was a resounding no. Most people were like, no, Deanna, PD is not support. What they were saying is that teaching can't solve a parenting issue. And I hear that. And a lot of teachers are understandably saying, actually, a lot of the challenges lie with the other adults in the students' lives who are the parents, the caregivers, whoever's at home. If that's the case, if that is the case, and I do believe it's part of the case, okay, as somebody who's worked in a lot of different contexts, I've read a lot of parenting books. I'm a parent myself, so I understand. Yes, it absolutely can be the parenting. My question for you is then, what is your school strategy to support families? And see, when we talk about family engagement, 9 times out of 10, what are we talking about? We're talking about the room parents, right? Are they answering the class dojo? Are they doing X, Y, and Z? I'm not talking about that kind of family engagement. I'm talking about how are families in the school cooperating and working as a team. If you want to have a successful spring semester, it's not going to happen unless families in the school are a team. Who's in charge of that? Your principal. So if you're a school leader listening, that is a huge portion of your job, is making sure that the family, that the school community is in lockstep with what the school is doing. We can't do it in isolation. We cannot do it alone. If teachers are telling us that the main problem is parenting, then it might not feel like our job, but part of our job has now become understanding what good parenting looks like and how we can support folks for that to be a reality for our students at home. So my question to you is, what is your family engagement strategy? If you don't have one, again, I have a freebie. You can get that. Comment the word freebie if you're watching the replay. I'll make sure I get it to you. But we have to talk about family engagement, especially again, if that's the problem that's holding all of us back, we have to talk about it. Now, it used to be that maybe family engagement was simple. It was just getting the papers from home at school, the home folder, just making sure that things are getting signed and folks are signing up for things. It's not like that anymore. Our parents are telling us that they need support, they need help understanding what they need to be doing to be working in solidarity with the school and a success team to help our students thrive. So the school leader is really the person who should be leading that work. If you're a school leader and you don't know what that looks like, again, that's something that we could talk about. But as a school leader, one of your other duties as assigned, right, is figuring out how to leverage your community so that everybody is supporting the students. And we have to go where the challenges are. The data is showing us that a lot of the challenges are as it pertains to parenting and a lack of awareness around that. I have a lot of ideas. I have some cool things coming up that I'm going to share with you, some cool freebies, but I have a lot of ideas of what that could look like. But again, that's an important place to start. The last thing, and this is especially for my school leaders. Again, I told you, I asked teachers if PD was support. All of them pretty much said no. Okay. They were very clear. They were like, PD is not support. We don't feel supported. We need actual support. Heard. Okay. So, what does support look like? They want to see you in the classroom, they want to see your boots on the ground, so to speak. Okay. Where the fans at, boots on the ground. Anyway, they want to see you in the classrooms. They want to see you in the hallways. They need to see you interacting with the students. They need to see you modeling the strategies that we want them to implement. Now, to go back to my original point, why are a lot of administrators not in the classroom? Because they're spending their whole day administrating, playing whack-a-mole, ripping and running, kids in the office, putting out fires all day, here, there, everywhere. That's no way to live. Because if you're ripping and running all day and you're putting out fires, then who's running the school? This is the type of transformation that we need. And this is what I am so serious with the leaders that I'm working with right now. I am helping them take their time back so that they can get in the classrooms and doing what matters instructionally with their teachers. The teachers want to see you in the classrooms. I don't just mean in the classrooms because somebody's having a breakdown. How about showing up as an instructional leader, modeling the strategies, leading school culture? That's what we want to see. You're not a responder. You're a leader. A leader can't spend their whole day responding. So if you're a school leader and you're listening to this and you're thinking like, this sounds nice, Deanna, but I don't know how to do it, I can tell you this. I have helped so far four principals get their time back just this year. It's January, third week of January. 4 teachers have gotten some of their time back so that they're able to be leaders. So we need to be having that conversation and we need to be talking about it. And you need to be able to be teaching. The amount of time, the instructional minutes that have been lost. I'm not talking about bell to bell, the instructional minutes lost to community building. I'm talking about the instructional minutes that are lost to playing whack-a-mole, responding, ripping and running, here, there, everywhere. Those are the instructional minutes that I'm most concerned about, and I want to make sure that we get those minutes back. The only way to do it is to have a strategy. So if you're listening to this and you have not come up with your strategy, you need to set some time to think about that, whether it's tomorrow morning, whether it's this weekend, whether you want some support with that, you know who to call, okay? Think about how you're going to get that strategy going so that the spring can be the best yet. I don't want to sit here and tell you 14 more things that you have to be doing. I want to tell you how to do the things that you're already doing well, better, more effective, so they're working, so it's streamlined, so you're able to succeed. I didn't get a chance to answer any questions. If people have questions, please just drop them in the comments up here on Instagram. We're also live on YouTube. This is my first YouTube live, y'all, so I'm very excited, but you can put them here. But it's really, really important that we talk about those 4 things. Okay, so I want to go back to the top. The 4 things that you need to do this spring. First, where's your strategy? Where's your plan? What are your key moves? What are your big rocks? How will you know it's working? What are we looking to see? What is the instructional focus? What is the school culture focus? What are your goals? Those types of big strategy questions are what you need to be asking yourself. For your school leader, especially, you're leading that work. If you're the school leader, you're leading teachers through that planning process. So you definitely need to have one. And then if you're a teacher, right, you're doing that as well. I do this also personally. Can I share a personal note with y'all? I do this every year with my husband. We set aside a day, we get anchor charts, we get Sharpies, we put on music, and we get map everything out. I mean, I'm talking like anchor charts, paper charts all around the room. We set our goals, our plans, budget, what we're doing with the kids, vacation, health and fitness, everything laid out. I want you to think about what it would look like if you did that for your classroom, the clarity that it would give you. I love doing I mean, I've always done it for my classroom, but let me tell you, you can also do it personally and watch how your life becomes more congruent with the vision of yourself that you want to be. And so the strategic planning process is very helpful, very impactful. It's not too late to do it. If you want some support, just let me know. That was one of the things that I did over winter break. I know, I know. You don't want to work on winter break. Okay. I don't want to work on winter break either. I'm not encouraging you to work over winter break. But to be honest, that's when I did my planning. Because once school started back, I knew I was going to be doing the day to day thing. So I was like, I need to do this anyway. But it's not too late to do it. So we can talk. Now, that's number one. Number one is your strategic planning. If you don't have one, you need one. I did a poll on my stories actually. And I think only like less than 10% of people who responded to the poll on the stories had done their strategic planning. So if that's you, okay, let's get that done. Number two, your data points. Okay. Where are your kids at? The end of the year, you're going to look up and it's going to be April. And you know, the last month of school is just crazy town. There's not a lot going on. And so what I think you need to make sure is you need to be really grounded in your data points, what you're seeing, what you need to see, and when you need to see it by, so that you can make a decisive plan or with move with a little bit of urgency. We need a little bit of urgency on this to get our kids where they need to go. At the end of the day, this is a school. At the end of the day, we're talking about education. So we have all these other things, but I want to stay laser focused on learning. Is learning happening in your classroom? And if not, what moves do you need to make? Is learning happening in your school? And if you're saying yes, how do you know? How do you know? What are your indicators? Yes or no? Is learning happening? And if not, how can you make it happen? Now, that's number two. Number three is your family engagement strategy. Your family engagement strategy is going to be key. Teachers are telling us that it is the families. I don't subscribe to the teachers versus home war because I just feel like it is I don't know that it's the most productive conversation, but let me tell you this. Parenting has changed. There's been a lot of research on it, whether you're talking about the anxious generation, permissive parenting, there's no shortage of data out there that is suggesting to us that parenting styles have changed and that has showed up in the classroom. Whose job is it to mitigate the gap that's created between the way parenting has changed and how we teach? The administrator. Okay. If you're a school leader, that's you. You're the person, you're the go between. You're the person who's working between those two elements to try to make it so that families understand what's happening at school and school understands what's happening at home. So if you're an administrator, you have to have a very clear, concise, effective plan to bridge those two gaps. You need a strategy. You need intentional moves that you're going to be making. Okay. It cannot just happen by accident, by happenstance. So, if that is something that you are responsible for, please really think about that. I do have a couple of freebies, but family engagement is not just making sure that all the forms get signed and that the teachers know when the testing days are so the kids make sure that they have a healthy breakfast. That's not family engagement. That's not the family engagement that's going to get us to where we need to be, because what's clear is the breakdown between home and school that has never been more pronounced. So as a leader, it's your job to figure out how to mitigate that breakdown. Okay. Think about that. And the last thing I want you to think about, teachers are telling us, especially school leaders, okay, clock in with me here. Teachers are telling us they want to see you in the classrooms. They want to see your boots on the ground. They want to see you in the mix. They need to see you working with the students and helping them and supporting them. That's what support looks like, feels like, sounds like. Support doesn't look like, feel like, sound like more professional development, which dovetails back to my first point about we're not doing more necessarily, but we're doing it strategically. So if you're not spending time supporting teachers, where are you spending your time? I'll tell you where you're spending your time. You're ripping and running. You're ripping and running, putting out fires, administrating, doing this, doing that, because you don't have systems to run a school to where you can actually lead because you're so busy doing all this day-to-day stuff. And I've been there. Listen, as a school leader, it was the year after COVID, the first year we were back. Okay, so that was my introduction, and I spent way too much time responding to this about COVID, this and that. It was very stressful. It was terrible. It was very difficult. But that's what I'm saying. I see as so many of us still doing is just being in that response mode and not being in leader mode. Because again, if you're putting out fires all day, who's leading the school? Who's leading the school? It's not you, because you're putting out fires all day in response mode. We need a leader, not just a responder. Okay. A leader is leading the instructional vision, the school culture vision is in the classrooms. I want to give you some time back. You need time to be able to do that. Okay. You can't stay at school till 6 o'clock. That's just not reasonable. I want you to go home and be with your family too. So we got to get you some time back during the day so that you are able to show up for your teachers and what is legible to them as support. Until we get this support thing under control, we're going to continue to have challenges because teachers aren't feeling supported and administrators are feeling frustrated. But both sides are working way too hard. It's not that nobody's not doing enough. The work is being done, but it's not landing as support. So we have to talk about what it looks like to get you to a place where you're able to support teachers in a way that's legible and that's clear to them. If you want to talk about getting your time back, like I said, I've helped 4 teachers this year. It's mid-January. 4 teachers this year get their time back and spend more time supporting teachers in a way that feels legible. It's crazy that it's mid-January. Mid-January, like January had somewhere to go this year. It has been going quickly. So anyway, those are the 4 things that I want you to be thinking about. Now, if you don't do these things, don't come to me in June. Don't do it. I'm going to tell you right now because June is going to come up one way or the other. This is the challenge because the year just keeps on yearing, it keeps on going. And it's so important that we are able to really be intentional about how that time is spent because it's going to be spent anyway. So, doing these 4 things are going to help you have an intentional spring, a spring where you can cut the chaos and really go back to doing what we need to do. My goal, like you all know, I'm on a mission to bring more joy and culturally responsive practices to classrooms. You know that. That is my number one goal. But within that goal is to get us back to spending more of our time teaching. The amount of time that we are not spending teaching and doing all these other things, very concerning. The instructional minutes lost is crazy. So we're trying to really have a strategy and a clear goal so that this is not happening as much. If you're watching the replay or you just tuned in, I do have a freebie with this information. Make sure you leave a comment if you would like to get that freebie. I will get it to you. I also have a freebie on family engagement, which was point number 3. So we talked a little bit about family engagement as well. But I'm excited to be sharing this information with y'all. I am going to be going live more often, sharing more teacher tips and more strategies. I hope to see you at these. Something interesting, and I'll leave you with this. Something interesting that I actually was talking about with my students today was let's do a little pop culture, or not pop culture. Let's do a little trivia, okay? A little trivia question. What works more? The fear that you will get in trouble as a deterrent, the fear that you will get in trouble, or positive reinforcement to enforce the good behavior so you don't want to do the bad behavior? What works more? What works more? Telling students, like, if you do this and you'll get in trouble, or reinforcing the positive behavior that you want them to do? Okay. Think about it. You might have your own thoughts, but psychology, multiple studies over and over again, I'm talking longitudinal studies, 30, 40-year studies have been repeated over and over, show us that positive reinforcement for the positive behavior works better than a deterrent and a fear of getting caught for the negative behavior. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't work at, like, the negative behavior is not a deterrent. Okay. So I do want to add that, like, a punishment does work, but positive reinforcement works better. This isn't my opinion. This is fact versus opinion. This is a fact. This is a scientific fact about the brain that has been studied. And so I want to leave you with that because I asked folks on my stories today to think about where their school is landing. If you're relying more on punishment, or this spring you're relying more on reinforcement for positive behavior. Now, I also know that we do have some schools that are using PBIS and positive behavior incorrectly, and it's leading to a lot of frustration. Actually, one of the schools that I worked with at the beginning of this year, we had to officially move them off of PBIS and on to like a version of PBIS. So it's a better version. But I do know that it does it has some interesting ramifications in the classroom, and a lot of people don't like it. Okay, so I am aware that some people feel a certain type of way about just relying on positive enforcement. So I'm not saying that, but I am saying that neuroscience does tell us that positive enforcement does work better than consequences. Again, that's not to say that you shouldn't have any consequences. And that's another thing that a lot of schools are struggling with right now, because they want to do PBS, but they're doing it wrong, so it's not working, and it's just irritating everybody. It's just making everybody really upset. So I've been working with a couple schools that were like, we have to figure out how to do this the right way. Because if you're going to do it, then you need to do it well and not just a way that irritates everybody. But I just thought I would leave that with you and share that, because I'm all about research-based practices. I'm all about like looking at what does the data show works with students, not just my anecdotal opinions, but like this is neuroscience. This is how the brain actually works, and this is how the childhood brain works. So I like to share those little nuggets with you all. Let me know in the comments which one you're relying on this spring. Hopefully you got a little something out of those 4 strategies. If you did, make sure if you're on Instagram, you follow on the YouTube channel. It's called That's Just Good Teaching, and I share lots of tips. And I'll be back here for this space to talk more. I'm trying to go live at least a couple times a month to chat with you all, because there's so much to talk about, and I feel like some people are missing it if it's in my stories. And we've just got to get back to the community and having these crucial conversations. So I will love to see you over on YouTube. Thank you for being here. I put up a little poll in the story, so go check it out and make sure you comment if you would like the freebies on the replay, and I'll make sure you get the replay. And then if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, Deanna, I want to learn more. I want a strategic plan. I don't know how. Send me a DM. Okay, we are going to get through this. This is not going to be another Hot Mess Express spring. Absolutely not. This is going to be the spring that's our most joyful yet. So I'm going to sign off over here on Instagram. Bye, y'all. Come join the YouTube. Okay. And then we're going to sign off right here. But thank you all for being here, and share this with your administrator friends. Share this with somebody who could really benefit from hearing it. All right. And remember, I'm rooting for you.